72 as we sing together Ma Tovu. As we turn to page 195 for the Berlow. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל, המאיר לארץ ולדרים עליה ברחמים, ובטובו מחדש בכל יום תמיד מעשה וראשית. מה רבו מעשיך אדוני, כולם בחוכמה עשית, מלאה הארץ קנייניך. תתברך אדוני אלוהינו, על שבח מעשה ידיך, ועל מאורי אור שעשית, יפארו חסלה. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות. And we read together, the world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch ata Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. And we turn to page 200 for the calling of the Shema. Be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We turn now to page 204 to sing together Mi Chamocha. For the tefillah on page 205. אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, be nearer the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. Baruch ata Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the door frame, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, Eternal Teacher. Encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch ata Adonai, mechaye hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום
all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We turn now to sing together Yismechu. Turn to page 216 for the blessing for shalom, the blessing for peace and wholeness and wellness. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our effort to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all come to see is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit that life prevails. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael bashalom.
Shalom.
turn now to page 253 for the Misha Berach, the prayer for courage and healing and strength in our lives, in the life of everyone that is dear to us. Turn now to Seder Kriyat Torah LeShabbat, the order of reading from the Torah on Shabbat on page 244. Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Our God is one, Adonai is great, holy is God's name. Please be seated. We're at the Torah portion that is called Shalach Lecha, send for you. It's known as the Torah portion with the story of the spies, the scouts that were sent to tour the land of Israel and came back and gave not the report that Moses and God wanted, and they were punished, and the entire people of Israel was punished because of believing them. And it's a big punishment, I think the greatest punishment in all the 40 years that we had in the desert, where God says, none of you will enter the land of Israel. All of you are going to die in the desert except for your children that were not part of this sin, meaning you're all going to be dead before we enter the land of Israel. Now the Torah portion, I'm saying all that, we're not going to read that part from the Torah, but I want us to understand the context. The Torah portion has 3 chapters. So chapter 13 and chapter 14 all deal with the issue of the scouts, the spies. 13 is more or less the mission and the report, and 14 is the aftermath and the punishment and all of that, including the fact that they're not going to enter the land of Israel. And then comes chapter 15, the last one, and we're going to read the last part of chapter 15. So chapter 15 starts in a kind of a shocking way. It says, V'chi tavou el haaretz, and when you enter the land. And then God is giving a series of mitzvot that are going to be mitzvot that we are going to fulfill when we enter the land. We're going to read the last one, but it starts with like all kinds. It starts with I just was reading a modern commentary by Rabbi Berlow to this chapter. So he says, this is like, you read it and you say, is this in the book of Numbers? It should be in Leviticus. It's about all kinds of sacrifices that you do there when you enter the land. And you're like saying, are you kidding me? You just told me that we're never going to see the land. We're all going to die in the desert. Why are you giving me mitzvot that are not relevant? Okay, it's like you go and visit someone who's about to die and you say, you know, if you can go and tour France and Italy and so on, you can do all those things. I mean, seriously, I'm not going to do that. So you just punished me not to be able to enter the land of Israel, and now you're giving me mitzvot that I will be fulfilling in the land of Israel. We're going to read a really fun part, I think, the last part of that. And we're going to ask ourselves not only why is this mitzvah giving and what is this mitzvah all about. It's actually a mitzvah that is still pretty popular, so it's not like sacrifices in the sanctuary or something like that. We're going to see the connection, and we're going to ask ourselves, what's the message that comes from that mitzvah? It's the mitzvah of the tzitzit, of the fringes. But before reading that, we're going to say the blessing on page 250 before we read from the Torah. Please, Jennifer, lead us.
Baruch et Adonai hamborach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai naten haTorah.
Amen. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. And by the way, that's the end of the Torah portion. The next verse is going to be in the Torah portion of Korach, the Torah portion that is for next week. And it goes like that. Adonai said to Moses as follows, speak to the Israelite people and instruct them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout the ages. Let them attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it and recall all the commandments of Adonai and observe them, so that you do not follow your heart and eyes in your lustful urge. Thus you shall be reminded to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, your God, Adonai. So, one thing that I want to say before we speak about the essence of the mitzvah, the connection to chapters 13 and 14, the sin of the scouts, the spies, are obvious in the Hebrew and hidden in the English. They're lost in translation. So the Hebrew says, when you see the tzitzit, the tzitzis, the fringes, which is not the talit, by the way, it's the fringes that come from your clothes, then you will remember all the mitzvot of Adonai, all the commandments. Velo taturu achre levavchem. The scouts were sent latur et haaretz, to tour the land. So here it's your eyes and your heart that are doing the touring. But touring here is not a good thing, because it's velo taturu achre levavchem, you don't tour after your heart and after your eyes. Asher atem zonim achareim. If Yohana would have translated instead of the Women Commentary or Jewish Publications Society, she would say that you are whoring after them, which is actually the exact translation. But this translation is trying to be PJ-13, not realizing that the Torah actually was never meant to be PJ-14. The Torah and the Bible is not a children's book. So they use words like whore. So here it's don't follow instead of don't tour your heart and your eyes in your lustful urge. It's actually that you're whoring after them. So obviously, touring is not going to France and Rome and having fun. Touring is something negative here, that you tour because you have that lustful urge, or you have that zonim, you're whoring after your eyes and your heart. And the connection is that the scouts were sent to tour the land, and in chapter 14, part of the punishment is using the word whoring, so that's the connection to the story. So that's why you could say that it's here. The simple meaning of it, as we usually try to understand it, what is the fringes? It's like a 24/7 visual and physical reminder of the mitzvot of Adonai. You always are surrounded with this blue fringe. Blue is the symbol of royalty. By the way, because of that, blue became part of what we call the Jewish colors. So tchelet, which is actually not blue, it's a light blue, like we have here in the flag of Israel, or even better in the beautiful flowers you could see. This is tchelet. This is not navy blue, but this is tchelet. So this is why tchelet, not navy blue but light blue, is the Jewish color. It's the flag of Israel also, and it's a lot of talitot. So you will be there, and you will always remember Adonai and the commandments, and that will kind of surround you with walls of sacredness and holiness, so you won't follow your lustful inclinations. You won't whore after what your eyes and your heart are telling you to do. I think there is a deeper message here, and I think it's a simple one. I think that what it's telling us is that we need to be always in awareness of who we ought to be. that we should never let go. You know how sometimes you say, I can't take it anymore, I need to let go for a little while, I need to lie on the beach and forget of everything, I need to go to France and be in a chateau there and roam the countryside with my bicycle and just let go of everything. This says, even in those moments, you have to be aware of what kind of person you're ought to be. The mitzvah of the tzitzit is saying, when Adonai chose us to be God's people, that is not something that is only a privilege, that is an obligation. And you carry that obligation literally on you by always remembering who you are and what you ought to be. Let's say the blessing after reading from the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe לפני בני ישראל, וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה, ביד משה, על פי אדוני ביד משה, ביד
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we remember especially Joshua Fink, Raymond Allen Sr., Pudina Eisenberg, Molly Goldman, Geraldine Louie, Harry Wellington, Estelle Garmon, Lori Kofferman, Ted Perlmutter, David Radden, Frida Shapiro, Erwin Waterman, Irene Zimmerman, Marty Berg, Thomas Esri, William A. Flank, Hilda Present, Gerta Schwartz, Ruth Weinstock, Fred Hamel, Jerome Kaufman, Elinor Young, Annette Liebman, Francine Natowitz, Annalie Jaffe, Maurice Coleman Zeiger, Sol H. Becker, Leon Hirsch, Mary Solinger. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those who we have drawn into our hearts with our own. With the blessed memories of our loved ones, we rise as we turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהא שלום הרבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. זיכרונם לברכה. May the memory of our loved ones come to be a blessing to us all. Amen. Our closing song is Oseh Shalom.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. May it be a Shabbat of Shalom to us all, and please say Shabbat Shalom to someone that you don't know. Also to people that you do know.
Amen.